Hi, everybody. It's really nice to be here again for the third year in a row. I really want to thank all of you for listening to me talk for the third year in a row. So those of you that have seen me 3 times now, just thank you for actually coming and listening to me speak. If you've watched me at other conferences or on my YouTube channel or other people's YouTube channel, I just want to thank you for all the continued love that I get from the community, because that's what keeps me going, and I wouldn't be up here if you didn't want me to be up here. So I just want to thank all of you for your support. For those of you, thank you. For those of you that do not know who I am a mom first. My daughter's in the audience this year. If you haven't met her, Aramis is in the front row. Okay, sorry. So my bread and butter is children. I work with children primarily, psychic children, helping them to understand their gifts, to activate their knowing, their innate knowing. I work with families, I work with parents, and I really have a passion about helping children understand who they are, especially because we have these starseeds coming in, and they're so misunderstood. And it saddens me to see so many of these starseeds struggle because they don't have the right resources, nor do they have the right support. And it's not the parents' fault, because we reciprocate what we're taught a lot of the time. And so that is the primary work that I do. But the reason I'm talking about animals tonight is because I started with animals. So early on, I was a very, very, very shy, awkward kid. And I think that the traumas that I endured when I was a young girl contributed a lot to that. And so there was sexual abuse, there was kidnapping. I moved around a lot, from city to city, state to state, school to school. I think I went to 6 different elementary schools. I was always the new kid, always getting bullied. Girls hated me. And so I became just really shy, really reserved, and I didn't like people. I didn't trust anybody. They either hurt me, they either took me from my parents, they made fun of me. So animals were all I had. So we got a German Shepherd when I was probably about 4 years old. I can't remember exactly. And her name was Chelsea. And she quickly became my best friend. And I am an only child. I am a child to 2 teen parents who also had very little family. My mother only had a mother, no siblings, no dad. My dad had one brother that kind of was estranged, and his mom, and that was it. That was my family. So I was lonely and didn't have any friends, so I talked to dogs. And Chelsea was my whole entire world. And so she was really what I gravitated to. So I was always that awkward kid everywhere talking to the animals. I wanted to be around the animals. So I had this brilliant idea that I was going to save all of the animals, and I was going to dedicate my life to animals because I wanted to give something back to them. They did so much for me. Chelsea saved my life because she's everything I had, and she taught me unconditional love, and I had a great family. But teen mom is a teen mom. She's still a child herself. She didn't know how to raise me. So Chelsea showed me the love that I didn't get. And so I wanted to love all the animals, heal all of the animals, and I was going to be a veterinarian. Well, I'm not that smart. I had a lot of trouble in school. I thought I had a lot of learning disabilities, and I didn't have the right resources. So I ended up doing veterinary technician. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's like a nurse for animals. And so I went into the veterinary field, and I've done that for over 20 years of my life, and I became a registered tech. I worked in general practice. I worked in exotics, I worked in the ICU, I worked in critical care, I worked in surgery, and then I worked my way up to the zoo because I had a passion for elephants and wild animals. And I wanted to be as close to them as possible. So the picture all the way on your left is me working with the elephants in a special project that I did for Ringling Brothers. Those are retired elephants, and we were doing a metronidazole study on them. So that was my favorite project that I ever worked on. And then I worked with every exotic you can imagine at a zoo. I have worked with probably, and that was the biggest passion of mine, working with zoo animals. But it became really difficult for me because in my years of working there, I became, like I had a love-hate relationship because I didn't believe that animals should be in the zoo. I never did. From the very beginning, actually, I had this argument with myself, like, how can you support this? But I really thought in my mind that as long as there were going to be zoos, there's nothing I can do about that. So isn't it better that the people that work with the zoos are the ones that love the animals like family, and at least we could take the best care of them that they could possibly have? So that was my mentality. That's what I was thinking. And I did. I will say the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. is probably the best zoo in the country because they have the best care, they have the best staff, and the people there truly treat those animals like they are their children, because they are. To them, they're their family, and people there will work for 10, 20, 30 years. They don't ever leave. But I talked about in my book this year that just came out, Healing the Human-Animal Bond, the reason why I left, and I just couldn't take it anymore. It was just too hard for me. So when I started having my children, I started working with people because I started an animal communication business while I was at the zoo. And I learned Reiki to work on animals because I worked in the ICU and I thought, gosh, these animals are in really bad shape. And there had to be more that we could do for these animals besides this modern medicine. I mean, I worked at top of the line hospitals that had better care than any medical facility for people I have ever been in. So I took pride in that. I was really good at my job. I was one of the best ICU techs I have ever met. but I knew there had to be more. Like, this is it. This is all we could do for them. So I learned Reiki for them, and I started doing more animal communication. So I opened up a little side business, and I would go to people's homes, and I would get the same message repeatedly from the animals. The people would say, Sherri, can you come check out my dog? She's got a behavioral issue. She has a lot of anxiety. She's chronically ill. She has constipation, whatever the issue was. So I'd go over there with my little bag of crystals, and I'd put a little circle around them, and I'd do my Reiki, kind of naive, not really knowing exactly what I was doing initially. But every single time I would do a session on an animal, they would tell me that I needed to talk to their mom, talk to the dad, or there's a child in the house that was struggling with something, and they were taking on their anxiety. They were taking on their illness. And they didn't want me to help them. They wanted me to help the person. Well, you can imagine, I'm a very shy person. The fact that I'm standing up here is like a miracle. So there was no way I was going to tell somebody, you're the problem, right? So I struggled with that for a long time, and I danced around how I was going to tell people, and a lot of people actually didn't say it in the beginning. I just did my Reiki, I did my healing, and I kind of suggested that they try it, but I never pushed it because I'm not a pushy person. So it was really a learning curve for me to figure out how I was going to explain to people, hey, maybe you could benefit from this. But you know what it was? I think it was learning for me because I didn't trust people, I didn't like people. I became a really dark person before I had my first son, and I raced cars. I thought I was Michelle Rodriguez. I did drag racing down the highway, and I could have killed myself, could have killed someone else, did not care about anything. So I certainly didn't care about anybody else that was out there or their health issues or, oh, too bad for you. Like, that's what I thought. Big deal. You know, were you kidnapped? Were you sexually abused? Like, that's what I would think. So it's really hard for me to open my heart to help people because I thought that they didn't deserve it. But the animals surely did. But the animals were trying to teach me that they were here to help their people grow and heal like my Chelsea did for me. And I was like, whoa, poof, like bomb went off in my head, like big epiphany moment. Like, oh, you're there, Chelsea? Oh, and I got it. I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense. So maybe I could open my heart to help people, right? So they were my catalyst to start working with people. And then I started working with children, and it led to a lot of different things. But the thing about it is that when I started working with people, I missed the animals, and I felt kind of guilty, like I abandoned the animals, because I was like, man, I really wish I could go back. I want to work with the animals. And I did here and there, but I really not in the same way, and I kind of felt bad about it. And I had to work through that guilt. So when I just finished my 4th book, and I launched Aramis Creative Learning Center, and I did some children's books, I sat down last year and I thought to myself, you know what? Animals are coming back into my life because I started doing animal communication sessions again. I resisted for a long time. And I'm incorporating animals into my learning center, the Aramis Center, talking about animals a lot more again. So I think my way of thanking the animal kingdom for everything they've taught me and everything they've done for me and everyone else, regardless if they know it or not, I'm going to write this book. And it was a real passion project for me. So if you think about it, it really has come full circle for me, because this book that I've just written is a compilation of a lot of what I know, not everything. I really wanted to keep it focused, because I could have written, a novel, but I really wanted to keep it right to the point, because I want people to pay attention. I don't want people to lose people's interest. So I really focused on what are the main things people should know. And that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. So let's talk about sacred species. What that means is that there are species of animals that are wildlife that I have learned through my sessions. Again, if you don't know what I do not research. I didn't do well in school. I'm not a good student. I don't have the attention span to research. So pretty much everything I know and everything I talk about, everything I write about, I learned through my sessions, because I work with people on a daily basis and animals through their soul readings and animal readings. And I have so much information in this brain that it's going to explode if I don't share it. So what I share with you are through my sessions. So I learned about sacred species in many sessions, and what they are kind of like the guardians of the planet. And they don't all come from here. They come from different places. But the sacred species really are the ones that do the grid work. They are the ones that guard this planet. They open portals, they close portals, and they kind of protect us as a whole. So they're not really connected to us necessarily on an individual scale like a domestic animal would be, like a dog or a cat. So it's broken up into really the land and the sea. So elephants are guardians of the land, one of them. Elephants are the most amazing spirit animal, because if you guys know anything about elephants, and I'm an expert because I worked with them at the zoo, and I've been crushing on them since I was like 8 years old. I'm obsessed. Ask my daughter after this how many elephants we have in my house. It's embarrassing. And if you guys seen my YouTube channel, my backdrop is a beautiful wooden elephant. So they are the matriarchs of all of us. Think about the divine feminine energy that we are lacking and that has been taken from us through generations of programming, manipulation, all of these things. So the elephants are bringing back the divine feminine, but how they do that is they are the divine Akashic record holders. So they hold data and knowledge of everything that has ever occurred on this planet, in this dimension, in other dimensions, in different eras, different timelines. All of it is within them. And the place that they actually hold that information is in their tusks. So this is something I learned through my sessions. They hold information, just like our teeth. I talked about this last year. Our teeth hold, there are our records. So individually for us, all my teeth, all of your teeth have information and data. That's why a lot of us have issues with our teeth. When we have issues with our teeth, pain, there's energy in there that needs to be released. But with elephants, the interesting thing about it is their tusks actually hold the records. So if you think about a crystal, crystals can hold information, right? Like Lemurian crystals, you look into it, there is ancient information in there stored. Same thing with the elephant tusks. It holds information. So why do you guys think that elephant tusks are so valuable? It's not because of the ivory, because someone said once long ago that they were worth a lot of money for status and for a lot of other lies that they tell us. The reason for that is they hoard them because they want the elite and the wealthy people to have that. And that's why I show this picture right here, where they're killing these elephants, one, because they don't want the record keepers on the planet, but they're hoarding all of the tusks because they believe it holds sacred information that they cannot read, but they know at some point someone will be able to, and it is their belief that if they have it, they will be able to gain access to all the information. The thing about it is, The ones that hold the information is only passed down through the ancestry of the indigenous people that are connected to the countries that these elephants are in, and they don't even know on a conscious level that they can read it, because they can only read it when the time is right, and they don't know when that is. Just like us, we don't all consciously know everything, but things come through when the time is right, and then we suddenly get downloads. Those keepers of the elephants are the ones that will have the information. Not me, not you. And it's not to say that we can't access some of it, but they are their guardians. They are their record holders. So that's why elephants are targeted in poaching, and their tusks are so valuable. Did anyone in here know that before? Have you heard that before? When I learned that, I was like, how dare they? Okay, so horses are another keeper of the land. Horses started coming to me. I've never really been connected to horses, to be honest with you. I did a rotation with horses for about 8 months when I was 20. I have worked with every exotic species. I've done dogs, cats, little exotics, but I never really had a strong connection necessarily to horses, I think because I had such a strong connection to the elephants. But horses started coming to me in my sessions about 3 years ago when I was working on the Aramis Creative Learning Center and the birthing and the creation of this alternative education for the children that I was doing sessions with and that I was supporting. And the horses were giving me an earful. We are the guardians of the children. We are the guardians of the land. We are helping the children heal. We are helping to activate the children. Not to discount the adults, but we were speaking about children specifically, and they told me, you need to have horses in all of your schools. And I was like, sweet, of course, I love to have animals, I love animals. But they're like, no, but the reason is, this is serious, the reason for this is that we are the guardians of the land. We also are record holders, but we are going to help activate these children and these starseeds and help them heal and help them feel, create a sacred space for them in these learning centers that you're creating. So horses, and I don't need to tell all of you, I think you probably have heard how incredible horses are and how much they radiate and vibrate out healing frequencies that are they're the length of football fields. They can heal this. If we had a horse in the center of this room, one horse could heal all of us at the same time. That's how magnificent and powerful they are. So they are really here to support the children. They truly are part of the next generation of children, and in the future to be their guardians, because not every child has access to an elephant. When I was a little girl, I was sure that I was going to have an elephant when I was older. But I don't have one yet. Not yet. Maybe in my imagination. I don't know. I have a couple of elephant tattoos, so. So another thing that I learned about are bats. So bats came to me in several sessions, and they told me that they are the guardians of caves because these particular caves are sacred sites that lead to inner earth, and that bats are the guardians of the portals to inner earth. Not the only guardians, but they are a big part of guarding the inner earth portals. So we always have a light side and a dark side. So that's the light side. The dark side is that's why society wants us to think that bats are scary, that they're rabid, that they're the creepers in the night, and want people to be afraid and not to go in these caves because they don't want us to know that they are actually beneficial and they're helping us to protect the portals from the ones that aren't supposed to be going through them. So the bats I had much more appreciation for bats than I ever had before. So did anybody know that about the portals? Yeah, well, cool. Okay, the sea. I've always had a really deep connection to the sea because I know that I'm connected to Lemuria. And so whales and dolphins have always come to me, but they specifically came to me to let me know that they are the sacred species of the sea. So they connect to the consciousness of the sea, and they are interdimensional, and they also guard the portals in the depths of the ocean, connecting not only to inner earth, but to different portals and stargates to other planets, other cosmic gateways. So they also hold ancient knowledge. So I think the collective theme with the sacred species is they hold ancient knowledge and information. There's a lot of misconception about where these animals come from, and yes, a lot of whales do come from Sirius B, But not all of them, just like I have a chapter in my new book called Not All Cats Are From Lyra, because not all cats are from Lyra, even though a lot of them are. So the whales and dolphins come from all over the universe and other universes, not just one place. But a lot of them do come through the portals of Sirius B. Okay, I wanted to keep your attention because I'm going to be up here all night, so I have memes all spread out throughout this thing to make jokes. So this is our first one. Just take a moment to appreciate the first one I have chosen. It's a cat joke for those of you who love cats. They're crazy and wild, but they're amazing. Okay, I got to keep your attention somehow. Okay, so this is my favorite part of the talk tonight because I want people to understand the significance of the soul contracts that we have, not only with our domestic family. I don't like to use the word pets. I don't use the word pets at all. I use animal companions, a lot of different other things. So our connection to our animal companions is significant, and our connection to wildlife is significant, but they do different things. So the souls that choose to come in to be wildlife come in for the sole purpose of they are guardians, they are the record keepers, the grid workers, they open and activate portals, they guard portals, they protect us, but they really work with the consciousness of Gaia. They are connected to us, they support us, but they are not here for us. And so they are all over, and they come from all over the galaxies. Now, before I continue, what I would like to say is all of us probably in this room, and raise your hand if this is not true, because I'd be curious to see. I think most of us were raised to believe that animals are working their way up the evolutionary hierarchy to be as cool as us, as humans, right? And they are lower density, lower consciousness, and not evolved. Who here has heard that? Now, who here believed it? At some point. So as a little girl, looking into the eyes of my beautiful German Shepherd and just giving me, pouring love into me that I didn't even know existed, I had never felt anything like that before. I knew when I was a young girl, I said, there is no way that these animals are beneath me. There is no way. There is more to the story than this. So I grew up already being like, you guys are wrong. But I wasn't outspoken. I just kept it to myself for a really long time. But what I learned is that they are mostly already ascended to some degree. They are hive-minded souls, not in the way you're thinking. They are grouped like an oversoul group. So if you have a herd of, like, let's say, zebra or a flock of birds, is there an individual soul in every single one of those birds? Let's just say. What do you guys think? Yes and no, right? So the bigger answer is, and the majority of time in that situation, because there are so many, they are a collective consciousness of an oversoul that fractals out into many pieces so that they are okay with being in the circle of life. They are okay with being hunted and killed. They are okay with that because they're going to experience the other end of that when they incarnate as a lion, for example. So it's all part of this group of fractals of energy that want to be part of the ecosystem, and they're okay with that. They volunteer for it. It's not traumatic for them. They know innately because they don't have the blocks that we do. So they know exactly what they signed up for, and they don't cross over and be like, oh my God, I got eaten by that cheetah, and they need to spend 100 years in a cocoon of light because that doesn't really happen. At least I've never seen that. There are those animals, though. There are those souls that do want to experience that. So they're like, you know what? I would love to experience what it's like to be a buffalo. So instead of being a fractal of an oversoul group, an individual soul could be any one of us in this room. Any soul and any developmental stage can decide, I'm going to be a bat, I'm going to be an elephant, I want to be with that group. And they can experience that because that is their choice. And of course, in that case, maybe they do endure the trauma of being eaten, perhaps. I've never met anybody with that trauma. I'm sure it exists. But the ones that are part of an oversoul group sign up for that because it's the ecosystem. They want to experience the different levels of creation. So that's how there can be so many of them, and that's why they work together. So do you guys remember? Time is special for me. But do you remember years ago when we had the animals circling and it was like the big deal and everyone was conspiring on what they thought it was? Do you remember that? Right? What year was it? Maybe, yeah, you could have said any number and I'd been like, yeah, maybe. I don't remember, but I remember thinking, I closed my eyes for like 3 seconds. I was like, I gotta see what's going on here. And an elephant came to my mind, and she was showing me these migrating patterns and the Schumann resonance and the frequency of the planet, and all of this shifting was occurring. Now, if you're in a hive-minded group with like an oversoul or a fractal, and you're connected to everybody in your herd, if you are being guided by your network to do some sort of grid work, some sort of activation, some sort of opening or ceremony or sacred ceremony of opening a portal perhaps, or whatever it may be, you will follow the person or animal in front of you, and it's in the rotation and the movement of the group that creates the energy. So when these animals at that time were doing their circle movement, I don't know. Of course, could they have been hijacked by AI and all the other crazy theories they had? Sure, of course that's possible. But what I saw was that they were helping the planet heal. And they were circling to create energies, and through the process of them going in these circles, they were shifting and harmonizing the energy, transmuting, doing grid work, all sorts of things all over the world. And that is how and why animals migrate. That's how animals know exactly where to go, because they know that they're led by their oversoul group of where they need to go. And yes, they're migrating for food and weather. Of course, on a 3D surface level, that makes sense. Yeah, that's what they're doing, duh. But on an energetic level, what they're actually doing, and they're also doing, is they are grid working. They are regridding our planet, and they are trying to maintain a higher vibration, just like all of us. Every single one of us is contributing in our own way to elevating the frequency of the planet, right? So they're doing their part, but they know they're doing it. We're not everybody's conscious when we do it, and they don't have the blocks that we have a lot of the time, so it's very easy and simple. Yeah, I'm just gonna walk in circles, and they just follow the person in front of them, and that's what's normal for them. But if we don't understand that, then we speculate. So the soul contracts of wildlife is absolutely beautiful because they are really here to be our guardians. They hold space for us, they heal the planet, they open the portals, and they work together in unison as a group, which is why when we look at these animals as they are beneath us and we poach them and we hunt them for fun and we ridicule them and we think that we're so much better than them, what we don't realize is they're helping us. So by us judging them and looking down on them, we're actually kicking them in the face when we're not appreciating what they're doing for us to be part of our ecosystem. And it's really sad that's the way that we see them in that way, because they're absolutely beautiful and magnificent. And they come from all galaxies, all interdimensional, different dimensions, different places to contribute the same thing. Let's hold a space for this beautiful planet. Keep walking in front of that. Okay, so domestic animals. What are domestic animals here to do for us? So there are too many examples that I can give you to explain why we have soul contracts with our animals, but I'm gonna give you the most basic. So it is a lie if someone tells you that these animals are randomly assigned to you, that they are low density souls that are here for our benefit and to serve us. Not true. Big X, that's not true. Most of the time, the animals that come into our life know us. So they are souls in our soul network, in our soul group. Maybe we've had a past life with them. Could be your mother in a past life that's not your mother in this life. There are a lot of variations to that. But we know each other on a soul level, maybe not human all the time, but on a soul level. And they come into our life to support us in some way that we need, that's predetermined in our life blueprint beforehand. So before we came into this life, we already had periods of time throughout our life that we were gonna need guidance, support. So for example, I knew I signed up to have those traumas as a child to be able to do what I'm doing right now. I understand that now, I didn't understand that back then. I know Chelsea came into my life during those years to give me that unconditional love that I needed. That was her assignment for me, and then when it was done, she left. And so our animals know when we need them and for what purpose, or more than one purpose. And they come into our life for that period. So we know that soul. And for them to volunteer to take on such a burden, such a really difficult task, because it's not easy, they have to be pretty ascended souls to volunteer for something like that. I mean, they are at our beck and call. So not that they're beneath us and not that they're our servants, but they have such unconditional love and they have such a higher density of consciousness that when they come in here to volunteer to be our companion, protector, to show us love or whatever it is that we are lacking or whatever it is that we need, or to mirror our behavior so that we can see, wow, that dog's really annoying me, and be like, yeah, because they're doing what you do, so now they're showing you, just like children can do for us. You know, maybe your child is trying to show you what people are too scared to tell you that you need to work on, so your child's in your face acting like you. So our animals can do the same thing. So they come in to do countless things for us. And I forget what was the next slide. Oh yeah, let me just talk about dogs, and then I'll split it up. So dogs come into our life because they are more grounders. Not that cats can't ground us, but their purpose is to be with us. They're more tactile, they're more anchored in their body than cats are. They want to be with us all the time, and they want to give us the unconditional love in the way that dogs know how to do. So they want to be in our face, in our bed, next to us. They want to be with us all the time. And they don't understand when we push them away, like, why, how could you not want me to kiss you in the face? You know, like they don't really think about it that way because they are here for us. But the thing that people don't realize is that one of the tasks that they take on for us, which is the most heartbreaking and most difficult to accept, because at first I didn't believe it. But one of the greatest gifts that your dog and cat can do for you is take on your illness. They do it all the time, every day, 100% of the time. They take it on to some degree. Now, do all of them die as a result of it? Absolutely not. But a lot of times they do, and that's why we're seeing so many animals cross over now than we have seen in probably in the last couple of years, more than we've seen in a decade. Why are so many animals crossing over right now? Did we do something wrong? Is it our fault? Are they taking on too much junk for us? Is it something we can do better? Is it because of the chemtrails? Is it because of the food? Yes, all of the above. But in reality, their assignment was to come on and take all of your junk that you're releasing or holding in while you're going through your ascension, your activation, and they take on that illness for us. And some animals only come into our life to take on an illness, and they leave and they save our life, because by them crossing over and literally taking, because the thing is, the soul doesn't take it on. The body of the dog, for example, takes on the illness. The soul isn't taking on that karma. The soul isn't absorbing the illness. The body is. So they're using the body as a conduit that you can hold and touch and love on and support and have that support. But when they die, the body gets cremated or buried, whatever you do with the body, the soul leaves and they did their job. They did exactly what you asked them to do, but we don't recall it. And because we get so attached to our animals, because we love them so much, at least probably the people in this room, maybe not some of the horrible people out there that abuse animals because they don't understand their purpose, they believe that they help us, and some people don't believe it, so they continue the same behavior. And what happens is the animals will keep coming and doing the exact same thing until we get it, until we do the work. So the theme of today is it always comes back to us, just like those people that I was doing the animal communication sessions for, that the animal was telling me that it was their mom or dad's anxiety that they were taking on, or whatever the illness was. You know, they do that for us because they need us to get it. So all of us right now are working through our own traumas, just like it took me a really long time to work through sexual abuse at 5 years old. You know, it was really scary to be kidnapped at 3 years old. I remember all of it. I'm still working on it to this day. I'm still working on trusting men. I'm still working on loving and trusting people, even all of you. I've come a long way. And so I want to take the lessons that the animals have taught me, and I want to not only grow and shift from it, but also share it with all of you guys. So dogs will be with us in the physical. So they guard and protect us in the physical. They want to be with us. I'm going to talk about the specifics in a minute. Oh, here's another meme break. I have a dog like this. How many of you guys have a dog that, like, you walk out of the room and they're dying without you? That's because they love you so much. Okay, cats. That's my baby. She's my other Chelsea. So cats are different than dogs because they're way more interdimensional and they're way more astral. Like I said, dogs really ground into their body and they're okay being here with us in the trenches, so to speak. Cats are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll be in the body, but I'm going to be out of the body. I'll be in the body. I'll be out of the body. I'm going to do my own thing. Don't tell me what to do, because they are really the guardians in the astral realm, the etherical. They protect us in such a different way. They are hunters, but they are hunters and protectors in the astral realm. So they really like to be left alone more than dogs do. Now, there's an exception to everything. There are dogs that are more like cats, and there are always cats that are more like dogs. But I'm talking most cases. Cats prefer to be astral buddies. They don't really like being in their physical bodies as much because they're still very undomesticated in the sense that most cats have that innate primal instinct to hunt and to be outside and not to be domesticated in the way where they're bound. They don't like boundaries. So they're always trying to find the exit. They want to be in the highest point because they have that primal instinct. Dogs don't have that as much. So our cats really are our protectors from psychic attack, from attack, especially when we're sleeping at night. How many of you guys have a cat that likes to sleep in your bed, like on top of you or next to you or touching you in some way? Yeah, cats will do that. I mean, dogs do it too, but cats do that because when you're sleeping and you're the most vulnerable, when we sleep, we are the most vulnerable, they protect us. They will make sure that they protect that body, and they will protect you in the astral realm. They can be in both places. That's why cats sleep so much. People think they're lazy, but I'm like, if you knew all the work your cat is doing to open portals, close portals, usher energies out, to clean you when you come in the house and to clean everybody else, and they are working overtime, and that's why they don't have time for people half the time. You walk into people's house, they're like, they run away. They're like, hey, if you wanted a dog, if you wanted me to love you and be in your face, get a dog, right? They're just different. Now, if you have anybody knows Sphinx. So I love Sphinx. The reason is for two reasons. One, I'm very allergic to cats. And number two, Sphinx are not hypoallergenic, but way less. They're dogs. If you Google it, it says Sphinx are part monkey, personality-wise, monkey, human, and dog. It's so true. They like to fetch. They're all over your guests. They're so much fun. So my cat is super, super awesome. But that's what cats do for us. Okay, so this is something I get asked a lot. How do our animal souls, how do they find us? How can they, when you go to an animal shelter and you're walking down the aisles, how do you know which animal is connected to you? How do they find you? How is it so synchronistic sometimes that they just basically, like today, Tyler was just saying how she was on the side of the road and this dog was like, hello, I'm here. They'll figure out a way. But they do have walk-ins and placeholders. What the difference is this. When an animal comes in, sometimes you're not ready. Maybe you're not going to need that cat or dog right away. So there are placeholder souls. Remember, I talked about this last year. For those of you that remember, I talk about reverse walk-ins. That's when you have a placeholder soul in a body that's not ready for the soul to come through yet. So there's somebody kind of hanging out. It's usually an angelic soul, but not always. So animals have the same type of thing. They have veteran cats and veteran souls that are really good at being cats and veteran souls that are really good at being dogs. It's like, I'll pop in and out real easy. So they're in there because there has to be some sort of consciousness in there, but they're not the one that is assigned to the person that might be getting the dog or the cat. So they're the placeholders. So they're just kind of hanging out until you happen to pick the animal that is most beneficial for you, and then the right soul will pop right in. The soul is actually with you. So when you're walking around looking for the animal that's right for you, what you don't realize is the soul of the animal that you're about to choose is like looking around like, which one do you like, Mom? Which one? Is that the good one? Like, do you like this one? Because they're just trying to figure out what soul, what animal, what body they're about to pop into. So that's how the placeholders work. Walk-ins are a little bit different. So walk-ins are when when a dog or a cat has multiple owners. So people always ask me, if I adopted an animal from somebody else, how does the soul find me that's connected to the other person? And the way that is they walk in. So a soul might be in a dog's body for several years, and then that person can't have them anymore. So then that dog gets adopted by another family, and the soul of the walk-in will come through and be with that. So there's multiple souls that can share a body of an animal. Sometimes I have seen in many sessions when an animal crosses over and it's detrimental to the person, the soul of the animal will actually join the body of their other dog or cat and hang out. So there's two souls in the body, just temporarily, and people will notice because they'll be like, oh, my other dog is taking on the same things that my other dog always did. And it's really clear. I mean, they act exactly the same. That's because the soul of that dog is hanging out with the one that remains just to be with you a little bit longer. So we can have walk-ins throughout. We can have 5 or 6 walk-ins in one dog throughout its lifetime. There is no limit because animals are at such a frequency that it's easy for them to come in and out of the body. It's really hard for us to do that, and it's more rare for us to have walk-ins, right? Although we have walk-ins now more than ever before. So animals helping us heal. So how do they actually help us heal? So you all have seen you all have an animal probably that is coming up to you when you get home, and they want to put their paw or head on you. They have to touch you in some way. They always want to connect with you in some way. So they'll come up and they'll put their little, their paw on your leg, or their head in your chest, or the cats, what I call knead the dough. They'll find a way to touch us. And what they do, because they're master healers, is they use their body as conduits. So when they come near us, they will absorb our energy. So if we're in a low vibration, they will start to absorb. We'll skip that one for a second. So if you look at this picture, I'm going to show you. So look at this dog's energy field. And then look at this person's energy field. Don't pay attention to the color. It's just to show contrast. But this is what happens. But let's just say this guy is angry, and he comes home from work, and he's had a long day, and he's really just heavy and dense, and he's got a lot of stuff going on, and he's just not himself. Well, his dog is beautiful and ready to interact with him when he comes home. So he comes home in this type of energy, and his dog is in this type of energy waiting for him at the door. And what happens is, and this is the most elementary way to explain this, by the way, their auras start to mix, and you can see kind of my purple in the middle. It will start to affect his energy field, and it will slowly start to integrate a higher frequency energy or a more calming energy. It really just depends on what the person needs. What do they need right now? Do they need love? Do they need calming energy? Do they need to be hyped up for something? And they will complement what it is that you need or what you're missing by blending their energy field with yours. And while they do that, if anybody knows how to do Reiki or energy healing, we're not healing the people, although I love to take credit for it, but we're using our bodies as conduits where we pull in universal life force energy, for example, and it comes out through our body into the other person, and their body receives it, and it begins to heal on its own. I'm not healing them, their body is healing itself with a little bit of extra energy help. Our animals do the exact same thing. So not only will they merge with our energy field, just like in this picture, On top of that, their little bodies are pulling in whatever we're releasing. So if we're with our dog and we're crying and we're really sad and we're releasing, our animals are absorbing it right there with us, and they're pulling out what we're resisting. And they use their body to transmute because they can. They're in a higher frequency. Their body transmutes it and releases it. That's what we're designed to do, by the way, but we are not taught that. We have so many blocks, so many limiting beliefs preventing that from occurring, plus all the 3D interference, that we don't do it as well as we could or that we can. And so our animals are like, I'll do it for you. I can do it. I got this. But sometimes they take on a little bit more than they can handle, and that's when animals do actually get sick. So in my book, I talk about 3D interference. Just like we endure 3D interference, EMFs, chemtrails, you know, all the things. Does it actually affect the animals? I love to say no, because despite the fact that they are so high vibrational, and maybe it's not traumatizing their soul, it's not causing fragmentation for the most part, it does affect their poor little bodies, and it makes it harder for them to work. Same with us. If I'm an energy healer, and I've had a really bad day, and I just got over the flu, and I'm just like this, and someone asked me to do a healing, well, first of all, I shouldn't be doing it, but my body is not really up to the task. So it's not going to benefit anybody. It's going to drain me. It's not going to be effective for them. So our animals get to a point where they have taken on so much, and on top of that, there's toxins in their food. We got the vaccine issues. It just makes it harder for their body to do its job, and that's how they get sick. It's twofold. Interference, but also they take on way too much for us, and sometimes they take on stuff for the whole house. So if you have a house like I have, 3 children, 2 adults, our animals are taking on a lot because it's not just me. They're helping everybody in the house. And that can make it complicated. So cats do work a little bit differently. They like to knead the dough, which is what I call it. So when they're kneading you, yes, it is a behavioral thing that they would do for their mother, but really what they're doing is they're activating your field by breaking up energy patterns, and they're purring anywhere between 20 and 140 hertz, and that breaks up. Like if we have a distorted field, like if you remember the slide I had with the red aura, that energy that's dense and low vibrational, a cat can come and do a little kneading of the dough, like right on your fat pad, and next thing you know, it dissipates the energy in your auric field, and it can completely transmute. How many of you have sat on the couch with your cat or dog, and like 5 minutes later, you're like, you feel so much better? They really make you feel so much better, because not only are they helping you feel better emotionally, they are physically helping you, because they are master healers. So that's how they're able to take on our traumas. Now, animals have chakras just like we do. We're not unique. We're not special in that way. And so this is dog chakras, but cats have the exact same chakras that we do in the exact same places. The only difference between us and animals is they have what we call a God chakra. That's just a name that we've given it as collective humanity, where it connects them. It's almost like, it's cute because it's almost like a leash in the back of their head, but really where it is that the brainstem, and it connects them like a satellite directly to God, directly to source, whatever. It's what anchors them in a higher frequency so that they do not get corrupted and they do not get stuck here. It's literally like a leash, so that they're like, nope, I'm not going to get stuck here. It's almost like it holds them in a higher standard. I won't go in this today because it will take way too long, but every chakra works exactly like ours do, and I explain in my book how different things affect their chakras in a similar way to us, but in a way you probably didn't think about. So it's too long to go into that right now. Okay. I would like to share some stories because it's helpful sometimes when I share actual sessions that I've done with people and their animals. So I had a client, actually it's 4 dachshunds, but I said 3, because of the 3 dachshunds are the ones that died for her. So I had a client who contacted me because she had 3 previous dachshunds die, all from the same lung disease or something having to do with breathing, respiratory. And she was distraught because she got another dachshund. And she was worried that this dachshund was going to have the same issue, and she wanted to know what she could do better for this dog. What can I do better so my dog doesn't get the same issue and doesn't die? I'm really afraid, because she adopted this one. And so it was a little bit older. So I'm doing this session on the dogs. I'm tapping into the 3 that passed away, and come to find out, this woman was suffering from, or working through, I should say, abandonment in this lifetime. She had a lot of past lives where she was abandoned in some way. And so she had taken on this feeling of, I do not deserve, I am not good enough, and had taken on some self-destructive behavior. So she was a chronic smoker. And then subconsciously, what she didn't realize was that she was killing herself slowly, because she didn't feel like she was worthy, by smoking every single day to block the heart, to kind of keep that heart chakra closed, right? And so these dachshunds, one at a time, came in and took their mom's pain, tried to show her unconditional love, and they didn't want to abandon her, but they were absorbing her illness, the congestion, the density in her chest. And one would die, and another one would come. She didn't learn the lesson, so another one would come, and she would, same behavior. She would give them love. She was a great mom. She did everything else right, but she was ignoring She was ignoring the issue that she needed to focus on. The root cause of what was going on was her. So the third one came and went. So now she lost 3 dachshunds to this exact same issue. When she came to me, I got to explain to her lovingly, in the most beautiful way I could, what was going on. And something hit her, like, in a beautiful way, and she said, "Oh my God, Sherri, you're so right. I don't want to kill this one. I'm going to learn the lesson. I'm going to do better. I'm going to work on myself, and this one is going to live." Because the thing about it is if we don't learn the lesson, sometimes a bunch will keep coming, and then we keep losing our animals, and then we feel what? We go into a shame spiral because we feel guilty, because we're like, God damn it, I did it again, and I'm a terrible mom, and now you're feeding the self-destructive thoughts that you had by thinking that you're a terrible dog owner, and you're not. You're just missing the point. So when I explained that to her, she got it. Well, we spoke, 6 months later or so, and she was so excited because she told me she did it. She stopped smoking. She was healthy. She started working out. And that dachshund, it was like a couple of years later, I'm sorry. And perfectly healthy dachshund, perfectly healthy lady, and she had a completely new outlook on life, and she was thriving. And these beautiful dachshunds came into her life to teach her that and to encourage her to heal. And I just helped her. All I did was help her with the message. She had to do the work. But once she heard that message, it sat with her. So think about that. When your animals have an illness, it doesn't always mean that you're going to get cancer. It doesn't always mirror what you have or could have. It could be that is just where it manifests in the body of that animal, because they're taking on so much. It doesn't always mirror exactly the same, but they are taking on a lot for their person, and a lot of times it does manifest as something that they end up ultimately passing away from. Okay, protection. This is my Dobie. Okay, protection is another really important thing. Oh, I'm skipping through my memes. Well, this is relevant. How many of you have had a dog that you're like, oh, it's going to be a great protector, and they're like the biggest scaredy cats? I think this happens a lot, where the dog is like scared. They'll hide behind you when someone breaks in your house. I actually have one of those. My golden retriever. Like if some bad guy came into my house, the Doberman would bite their face off, and the golden would be wagging its tail, like trying to get pet, Please don't hurt me. So our dogs come in, our animals, like I said, cats will be more astral. They'll protect us as much as they can from the shadow red-eyed beings or the ghost that might come through, or something that's trying to hurt us or harm us or siphon our energy or attack us when we can't see it. So cats are masters at that. That's why they're kind of, excuse my language, but they're kind of assholes sometimes, because they need to be. They need to be tough in order to fight off these beings. And I know mine worked extra hard for me because I have to deal with it a lot, and I'm so grateful. I always tell my cat when I go to bed, thank you so much for protecting me. But I want to share this one story. So I had this client who contacted me because she had a Great Dane. And this Great Dane was a great protector and a beautiful dog, but he had an issue with barking incessantly at any children or adults that went by their house on a bicycle. And it got so bad that they were worried that their Dane was going to jump the fence and bite somebody because she didn't know what they were going to do, but the bicycle was clearly a trigger that was making this dog lose his mind. And otherwise, he was a perfect Great Dane. So she called me and she said, can you figure out why my Dane is reacting this way to bikes? What's going on with bikes? It wasn't cars, it was bikes specifically. So as soon as I closed my eyes and I connected to this Dane, I was taken to another lifetime in the middle of a battle scene where he was a dog and there was horses with buggies, and people were shooting at the people that this dog was protecting. It was some sort of a war or something really bad. And I said, oh my gosh, this dog is perceiving the bikes as a threat. And in his mind, because of his past life, there's a bleed through here. He's not getting the difference between the two life timelines. He really thought that he was protecting and warning his family of imminent threat. Like, don't you guys see the buggies coming? You know, hide, duck, run, something like that. So he thought by him running back and forth, barking incessantly at the bikes, he was protecting his family from attack. That really wasn't an attack. So I was like, gosh, okay, sometimes it's great to give people information, but then like it's less helpful if you can't help them work through like how to fix it. So I worked with this couple for a while, and what we did is we had them get a bike. We had them slowly bring the bike in the house and just let them sniff it. And long story short, after walking the bike, taking it outside, having the mom ride the bike next to the dad walking the dog, and it took a really long time. But eventually the dog learned that the bike was okay, and he no longer did that anymore. But in most cases, people just write the animals off as, oh, they're being a pain, or they're annoying, or they will get rid of the animal when there's a solution to the problem a lot of times. Not always. Sometimes animals need to go to another home for a lot of reasons, but in this case, it was an easy fix. I mean, it took 6 months, but it was an easy fix. So that's one way our animals will protect us, because they don't necessarily, they're seeing threats that we may not. So they're constantly on alert, constantly on guard. Now, I talk about black box technology quite a bit because it is really important to be aware of. And cats can see the portals in the TV. How many of you guys have a cat that is interested in the TV, tries to crawl inside of it, or will sit in front of it? Yeah, so mine does that. Sometimes my cat freaks me out because he is literally trying to go inside the TV. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, Loki, don't you leave me. Like, you know, in my mind, I'm like, well, what if he actually disappears one of these times, right? But they know there's portals, they are activating, they are deactivating or protecting you from what's coming in and out of them. So Tux, I had this client once who had a black and white domestic long-haired cat. And she contacted me because the cat, all of a sudden, they had this cat for years, greatest cat, and all of a sudden he would not leave the living room TV. He would sleep in between the wall and the TV, like it was one of those big, huge TVs. He would sit there in between the wall. He would refuse to move, and he wouldn't sleep with them in the bed anymore, and he would growl at the TV, and he was going crazy. So they're like, why all of a sudden is my cat acting crazy towards the TV? I was like, I don't know, let's find out. So I connected with Tux, and immediately I was shown like the most vulgar, scary scenes on the TV, like scary movie scenes, right? So I asked the woman, I said, so do you watch scary movies on your TV? Like, has anything changed recently? And she was like, yeah. My husband and I decided that would be really cool to have an 80s scary movie marathon recently. So like every Friday night, they would put on like Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween or some retro 80s or whatever, around that time movie. And that's the same time that Tux started freaking out about the TV. I said, do you know about black box technology? And I had to explain it to her. I was like, do you know when you watch scary movies on your TV. That's one way to activate the dark black box portals, where you're inadvertently consenting and inviting entities in your room. When you watch porn, when you watch really vulgar stuff, a lot of war type movies or anything scary, it's perfect energy for them to come through your TV. They do it. They can, they will. And the way you protect yourself before everyone freaks out again and covers their TV tonight, all we have to do is say we do not consent, and our word and our conviction is our power. That's our superpower. That's all we have to do. So that's what I do in my house. I'll tell you a story after this of one time I did not do it and something really scary happened. But anyways, so I told these people about it, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." So what they did is per my instruction, they did exactly what I told them to do, to clear their house, to deactivate the portal, because of course I could do it for them, but what are they going to learn from that? So I had them do it. I said, "You need to do it. You need to stand your ground. This is your house, your TV." And within a few days, it wasn't even a week, they called me and they said, "Tux is back in the bed with us. He has zero interest in the TV, could care less, doesn't even go in the living room." And they were so glad because they realized, wow, that's so cool that it actually worked, meaning they were able to close the portal themselves. And the proof was that their cat didn't care about the TV anymore. So that was validating to them how much cats actually protect us. So they will protect us through our TVs. How many of you have cats that sit on your laptop when you're working? It's not because it's warm, although it helps. It's because they are wanting to get in between you and the black box. They don't want you to be near that portal. They're protecting you. They're like, "Nope, I'm going to sit right here." That's another way. That's another thing. Now, if you don't consent to it, even if you know exactly what you're doing, they'll still sit there because they want to. They want to guard you, even if you've already deactivated the portal. So the three main reasons that animals bite, because there's always a reason, and what I see the most are entity attachments, number one. Number two, out of protection, they're protecting somebody else. And number three, it's because they're afraid. So the first one is our entities. So I tried really hard to make my own picture here. I don't know if you guys can really see, but I put these shadow beings kind of around the dog. So in this picture, this little dog is being pet by a group of people. Well, how could a dog be so scared of a group of people, right? They have good intentions. They just want to give them some love and pet them on the head. But what I'm trying to depict in this picture is what they actually see sometimes. Not always, but why are they afraid? Because they're seeing the entities that are swarming those people, connected to those people in some way. And that's why the animals cower sometimes, and you can't figure out why, because they are seeing something that you're not seeing. And so they are genuinely afraid of the energy that is around you. And it's not always bad. Like if someone comes into your house and your animal growls or runs away from them, it doesn't mean you can't be their friend anymore. It doesn't mean they're a psychopath or a horrible person. Not always, they can be. But it could just be the entourage that's following them from the parking lot, or some energy that just happens to be around them, and the dog is like, nope, I'm not they're afraid of it. So it's not always a bad thing. It doesn't always mean that the person is they're bad. So that's one of the main reasons that dogs will, and cats too, they'll bite, because they're actually going after the entity. I had a German Shepherd, a client with a German Shepherd that was going after their child. And what we found out and discovered is this child was inadvertently opening vortexes of energy in their home because he was a starseed. And the German Shepherd was growling in the direction of the child because he was growling at the entities that no one else could see, trying to scare them off. When that didn't work, and they amplified and they started to attack the child, like it looked like a Black Widow type of energy, the dog jumped over the child to try to attack the Black Widow-looking entity that was trying to get attached to the child. Well, the mom and dad don't know that. The child doesn't know that. It scared everybody half to death. They got rid of the dog. That was only two more incidents happened, but the dog never actually bit the child. The dog was biting near the child, jumping over the child, growling in the direction of the child, because he was trying to scare off the entities. So that happens quite a bit. And when they actually do end up biting, a lot of times it's because a child or a person has really distorted, low vibrational energy, we can't always blame entities for our behavior. As much as we'd like to be like, oh yeah, sorry, that was my shadow being that was mean to you or that caused that behavior. We got to take ownership for our stuff sometimes. And so we can have, when we're in a low vibration, our energy field is really, it's not very big, and it's dense, and it's low vibrational, and it's heavy. It's palpable. Animals don't like that. So if you're coming near an animal and you're not respecting their space and boundaries and you just go in to pet them, they'll bite you. Is that their fault or is it your fault? Well, I try to teach people it's your fault. Why are you just going in hot like that? Would you like someone to just come in and just start petting you? No, most of us wouldn't want that. I certainly wouldn't want someone coming up. My biggest pet peeve when I was pregnant is everybody wanted to come and feel my belly. And I'd be like, back off, like, don't touch me, right? So animals are the same way a lot of the time. And they don't understand the energy because it's distorted, it's disruptive. Or sometimes when children are playing, they're all over the place. They're oscillating in a lot of different frequencies, and dogs sometimes and cats can't get a handle on exactly what they're going to do. They can't read them. So if a child runs by pretending to be an airplane with their arms wide and being crazy around them, the dog will consider it a threat and might attack because they're not sure what they're going to do. They can't read the situation because it's it's out of their comfort range. So we got to give them a little bit of a break sometimes because, they don't always mean it. And most of the time, they feel bad about it afterwards. They're like, I didn't mean to hurt the child. I didn't mean to do that. I was afraid. I thought I was, for a lot of different reasons that I just explained. But the other thing about it is breeds do matter. So when our animals are patiently waiting to come in to be with us, we get to choose the animal that they come into most of the time because they're respecting our free will and our capacity. So if I live in a studio apartment, it's not really the best idea to get like a husky. So I'm likely going to choose a smaller dog or maybe a cat. So the soul that's waiting to come through is like, all right, well, when you figure it out, I'll pop in and I'll respect your choice. So the problem with that is that sometimes we choose breeds because we like them, but we have no idea that their innate primal instinct can be really challenging for the soul to integrate with. I'll give you the perfect example. I never wanted to get a Doberman because I am a vet tech, and I know I can tell you what every single breed, the issues they have, the types of illness they usually get, and I'm like, nope, I'm not getting that, and my husband hates that about me. And he always wanted a Doberman. I was like, are you crazy? They are so high-strung, they have so much anxiety, they never relax. I don't have the bandwidth nor the capacity to take care of an animal, that type of breed. But eventually I gave in and we got our dog, and he is the most high-strung, special animal you'll ever meet. And I don't trust him a lot, but I love him so much, and he knows that. We've got a special bond. But he's the way he is because of the breed we've chosen. So no matter how great the soul is, they have to navigate the body. So when you go to test drive a car, if you're going to test drive a basic model car and then you get into a sports car and you drive it and you press the gas and it's like, whoa, it goes really fast. You got to figure out how to drive it, right? We got to figure out how big the car is versus how small. Is it rear wheel drive? Is it front wheel drive? How much horsepower does it have? A lot of things. Same when we come into our bodies. That's why starseeds are struggling so much, because a lot of them are new and don't know what it's like to be in a body. So they walk on their tippy toes, they flap their arms, a lot of the newer ones, and they're made fun of and called autistic. And I'm like, dude, they're just trying to figure out how to use their suit. So it can be the same thing for animals that go into a breed that is difficult and challenging, because no matter how advanced the soul is, they still have to figure out how to operate the body. And if the body is trained primally and instinctually through its ancestry to guard and protect like a Doberman, they will never relax. They will never feel comfortable unless everybody is sitting down and together, and then they feel like, okay, cool, I'll take a break. As soon as someone gets up out of the room to go pee, they're up, they're alert, they cannot relax, and we got to start all over. That could be quite annoying to some people, including my husband. And I'm like, see, told you I was right. But my poor the soul of this poor dog is like, well, I don't know what to do. I have this instinct to protect, and I can't relax. And you can't really blame them for that. So it takes them a long time to adjust. So the breed absolutely matters. And unfortunately, a lot of breeds get a bad rap, whether you're a Rottweiler, a Pit Bull, a Doberman. They have that bad rap because they are known to bite or to be a little bit more aggressive. I will tell you, the nicest dogs I have ever met in working and for 20 years as a vet tech is a Pit Bull. Just want everyone to know. I've never been bit by a Pit Bull. You know what I've been bit by that I have scars all over my hand? One guess. Chihuahuas. I'm more scared of the Chihuahua than I am of a 150-pound dog. It's crazy. So anyways, the breed does matter. Same with cats. So if you choose a cat that is more of a feral breed that hasn't been around as much, well, you're going to have to deal with the spraying and the incessant need to be outdoors. If you have a domestic long hair or domestic short hair, generally they're a little bit more comfortable being a cat. So breed matters a lot, and it's something that they need time to navigate through, and it depends on how many times that soul has been that animal and how comfortable they are. And that's why some animals are just so great for therapy or police dogs, or they just seem like they're easy to train, and they always listen, and they're just great at being a dog, or they're just great at being a cat. That's because the soul of that animal has probably done it so many times that they are just experts at it, and those are the animals that make the best support animals, that can go on planes and not jump on people. They're just amazing, and you can just see it in their eyes that they are just pure service to others. And then there are those that, have you guys ever had a pet or met an animal that you're like, dude, this dog is human? I had one of those. So I had a dog like that too. So there are people, so in my case, the soul came in to be my companion and to teach me in animal form. They had never been a dog before, didn't like being a dog. It was clear to everybody that met her, she did not want to be a dog. She did not like it. She didn't want to get wet. She didn't fetch. She just was like, ew, I'm not going out. She would hold her pee for 2 days if it was raining outside, wouldn't go outside. And when she looked into your eyes, it was like she was looking into your soul, and it made people uncomfortable because they're like, whoa, your dog is tripping me out. Because she was human, so she was looking at us in a way that we look at each other. So it's whenever you think you figured it out, there's so much more to the story. So I'm just learning. I've just scratched the surface in my sessions of probably working with thousands of dogs that I'm still learning every day, new information. More meme breaks. Boys versus girls. Okay. Spirit animals and animal totems are one of my favorite topics because I don't think people realize how much support we have of spirits that are not physical. So the difference between spirit animals and animal totems are this, because there is a big difference. Spirit animals are the essence and soul of an animal. That could be elephant or tiger, whatever it is, that is with you for the longevity of your life. So my spirit animal is an elephant. I also have a lion because I have Lyra connection. So you can have more than one, but they're with you because they need to help you for the duration of your life. It's a long-term commitment. So me, being this divine feminine, this matriarch energy that I'm trying to pull through as like this elephant energy, I need that. But to be strong and resilient and endure a lot of traumas, I needed the lion to be my spirit animal as well. Animal totems come into our life almost on a daily for very brief periods because we need that right then. So if we need courage or we need protection or we need something or they want to give us a sign, then we will receive the information from the animal or the support from the animal totem. So before I explain it any further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play. So I have a children's animation series based off of I have 10 children's books that are called Divinely Guided, and each one has a different topic. And I have videos on a good number of them. And this one is the one that I made years ago on spirit animals so that children can learn about spirit animals. So I want to play it for you today because it's amazing, actually. So I'm going to play it for you guys.
I thought we could talk about spirit animals today.
What are spirit animals?
Oh, I know. Spirit animals are animals that are there in the spirit form, that are there to protect us. Right, Aramis?
Yes, Vivian, that's right. Just like we have angels and spirit guides to help us, we also have the animal kingdom to guide and protect us.
How do they help us, Aramis?
Well, all animals have unique characteristics that set them apart from one another. Their different personalities can give you clues about what their message is. You can call on animal spirits anytime you want. Let's play a game. I'll name an animal and you tell me about them.
Oh, this sounds fun. Okay, I'll go first. What about a wolf?
I love wolves. They are so beautiful.
Okay, wolves. Tell me more about them. What is their personality like?
Wolves travel in packs. Wolves are strong and wise, and they protect their family.
Yes, that is correct. You can call upon the spirit of a wolf to help you feel safe and to protect you when you're afraid.
So, are you saying that if I feel afraid, I can call upon a wolf and it will protect me?
Absolutely. The spirit of the wolf will remain with you as long as you need until you feel safe.
Cool. What about a dolphin?
Dolphins are friendly and they like to play.
I think dolphins can remind us to have fun and not be too serious. Show dolphins playful and interacting with people.
Yes, you're both right. Dolphins remind us to be kind, to laugh and enjoy life. If you are sad or worried, a dolphin can come to cheer you up.
What about a horse, Aramis?
Horses are special. They are gentle leaders. They are filled with wisdom and patience. They teach us to trust in our own power and to trust our instincts.
I will call on a horse when I am nervous about trying new things.
What about a bird?
Birds can teach us to fly free and to see things from a different perspective. You can call upon them to help remove obstacles by revealing different paths you can take.
Can different types of birds do different things?
Yes, good question. Hawks and eagles are confident, strong, and focused, where a cardinal can attract attention and bring powerful messages.
What about a bear?
Bears will help you to have courage and stand up for yourself. They will guide you to trust your instincts and to be brave.
I can call on a bear to help me have courage to speak up for myself when someone is being mean to me.
Aramis, how can we communicate with our spirit animals? And how do we know who to call for help?
Great question, Vivian. That's why we played that game about animal personalities. All you have to do is think about an animal that represents the characteristics you need most at the time. Call them for help, and they will be there to guide you. If you need courage, call on a bear. If you need protection, call on a wolf. If you need gentle love and calm, call on a horse.
I get it. Can we all have our own spirit animal that is always with us?
Yes, of course. If you have a favorite animal that you like more than others, then that is likely your main spirit animal.
So we can have our own and we can call on any animal we want when we need them?
Yes, that's right. My favorite animal is an elephant. That is my spirit guide.
I love tigers.
I love butterflies and unicorns.
This has been a very special talk, Aramis. I am so excited to learn about spirit animals and all they can do for us.
You're welcome. Animals are my favorite thing to talk about.
Let's go play now.
I want to swing.
Let's go.
Okay, I just wanted to play that for you because I love that video. We got to teach the children about these things so that they grow up just knowing that they can call on the animals to protect them and do so many different things. But we don't need Google and we don't need books, although they're wonderful, to let us know the messages or why the animals are around us or what our spirit guides are. Because the way I teach children to figure out, as you saw in this video, what the animal is trying to share with us or what they're trying to do for us, all they have to do is tell me what the animal is known for and what their personality is like, and that's how they know what they're doing for us in our life. That's the most simple, easy explanation. Now, of course, you have beautiful books where they have paragraphs and pages long of what these animals' wisdom is and how they're sharing their knowledge with us, but to make it simple for children and adults, that's how you do it. So I want to play a really quick game because I don't want you guys falling asleep. So this is the first example. So this is a fox. So I just want people to yell out in an orderly fashion, what are the characteristics of a fox? Just tell me something. Oh my. Okay, so they're very shy and they're mischievous too, but they're also very curious. So basically, everything that everybody said in this room is correct. So if that's what you personally think about, regardless of what someone next to you is like, that's not right. It doesn't matter because that's what makes you think about when you see a fox. So if a fox is coming to your awareness in any way, in dreams, or you just happen to live somewhere where there are a lot of foxes where you can actually see them, or you're watching movies and you keep seeing foxes come in movies or TV shows, they're trying to get your attention to let you know that they're supporting you with the characteristics that you might be lacking or need to emphasize at that time. So it's really simple. All you got to do is think about what is so cool about a fox, and that's how they're supporting you. So it's important that you know the species, the difference, because brown bear and a black bear are completely different. So this is a brown bear. So what do you think about when you specifically think about a brown bear? Did he say the brown part? So black bears are a little bit more timid, and they're not as scary, and they're actually pretty social. Black bears are absolutely scary. You know that saying where if you see a brown bear, you just scream and get really, a black bear, if you see one, you get really loud and you scream and get big. You do not do that with a brown bear. You run as fast as you can because they are fierce. They are protectors. They don't mess around. They're not gonna wait to find out what's going on. So if you are going into a period in your life where you need that kind of protection or that thought process, it's not always literal. It could be maybe you need to be more abrupt, more abrasive in your action or your thought, or you're not making a decision, you're dragging your feet. The bear can give you the courage to do that. And I would say a brown bear gives you much more courage than a black bear. A black bear is going to give you, maybe you need to hibernate on what you're thinking about. You need a little bit more time to reflect. So the black bear is going to be different. So you have to think about what it makes you feel like. What about a deer? What? Food. No. Oh. That's not right. No, I'm just kidding. So so a deer, you know, they can represent fertility because there's a massive amount of them in the springtime. They help us with creation, but they're a little bit more shy. You know, they can help us kind of take a step back and see our surroundings and not to make abrasive moves and decisions and just to think about it for a second. Be weary of your surroundings because they are constantly on alert. And there are so many things that deers can teach us, but really you just have to sit, because I don't want to tell you what the answer is because that's not really how it works. Each one of you has the capacity to think about the animal in your heart and just say, you know what does it represent to me? And it might be different for everybody, but really this is the key. This is how to do it. So you don't have to take a class, you don't have to buy a book, you don't need to Google it. If you are constantly seeing turtles, you're constantly seeing cardinals. Yes, sometimes animals can be your family member, so trust your intuition. You don't need to call me and be like, all right, I keep seeing cardinals. I think it might be my dad. Well, you just wasted money because you already had the answer yourself. So go with your gut instinct. If it's a family member, you already know the answer. If you're like, gosh, I really think it might be something else, then think about what cardinals represent. What do you feel when you look at a cardinal? How do they make you feel? What you have to kind of, they want you to figure it out a little bit. We'll skip this. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit darker for a second, but then we're going to bring it right back up. So animals and rituals is really, really important, because one of the three things that the dark players and how they use their manipulation tactics against us is to sever or fracture the relationship that we have with certain species that are beautiful and sacred. I already talked about the bats earlier and what they do to make us fear bats. They don't want us to go near bats, and so they're going to create that fear with vampires, with dark caves, with rabies, all sorts of things. So the basic examples that I'm going to give today are super basic, but you'll get the idea. So if you look at this image that I have here, we have the Vatican Hall. All of you guys have probably seen this image, where it has a representation by its looks of a snake, right? So why do they use a snake? Because they truly, truly believe that this serpent represents Satan. It represents the evil forces, the dark side of us, the temptation, all of these things that they believe, and then we can bring reptilians into that too. There's a whole other thing. But why do they do that to us? Why do they make us fear snakes? Because a lot of people don't like snakes. A lot of people are afraid of snakes, and they amplify our fear based on their rituals. So in reality, snakes represent transformation, they represent healing, they represent fertility, and they represent duality. Are those not things that we want in our lives? Of course they are. But if they can make us afraid of snakes, why would we call on a snake if we feel afraid of that species? We're going to miss all of the opportunity to call on them to help us with those things. But the dark players do this weird reversal mind game when they manipulate us to be afraid of certain species that they have taken on for themselves for their benefit, and they hoard and invert the powers for themselves while also making us afraid, and we don't call upon them to use those powers for ourselves. So the Bohemian Grove, another example. So it used to be a Moloch statue, but they covered it, and now the owl represents, that's their new mascot. So we know the dark side. It's sacrifice. It's I don't even want to talk. I don't even know. I told my daughter I didn't even want to put this picture in my slideshow. I didn't want this on my computer, but let's just go to the good stuff. So the owls represent wisdom, insight, knowledge. Well, of course they want to invert and steal all those powers for themselves. But if we are afraid of owls because we think we're going to be abducted, because owls sometimes represent abduction and all of these negative things, and people are like, oh, I won't put an owl because I'm representing Satan and it's bad. Well, then we're missing out on the beautiful benefits that the owl spirits can help us with. Black cats is another one. So, I mean, this is just a few examples of the ways that black cats and cats in general have been used in a beautiful, powerful way using magic in our history. In ancient Egypt, they worshiped cats as divine beings. I think in a lot of places they worship cats as divine beings. Hecate, the Greek goddess, she used black cats in a lot of her sacred ceremonies. The Catholic Church, we know what they do. They associate with black cats with Satan and witchcraft and Halloween and all of that. So they basically, what they did is they took the stuff, they took the beautiful reasons that they were used in Egypt and in Greek period, in ancient Greece, and they inverted their powers to use them for themselves and to make us afraid. How many people will not adopt a black cat? They're the number one cats in adoption centers. They cannot be adopted because people are so afraid. People actually believe that if a black cat crosses you, that you are doomed in something bad. Me, I'll be like, I'll pick up that cat. I'll take it home with me. But remember, the power is in our belief. What you believe is what you create. What you believe is what is real. If you truly believe something, that is what could happen to you because you are giving permission and consent for that. If you, like me, say, I love snakes. I love black cats. I love owls. Then the power doesn't work, right? So this is how we take the power. This is the point of this part for me, is to explain this to you, that we have the power to take back the animal spirits. That's part of the fragmentation of the relationship that we have with animals, is that they don't want us to have the connection with the animals. They don't want us to know that we have spirit guides as animals, animal totems, and protectors, and our cats and dogs. They are there for us. They don't want that, because they know they can activate us, they can heal us, and show us love that we have never had before. They don't want that. Again, goats with Satan. We know that goat represents Satan. Well, we also know that kids is a short name for goat babies, right? Goat babies are called kids. Well, what do we call our children? Kids. So essentially what we're saying is our children are children of Satan every time we say the word kids. I'm saying that my kid is a child of Satan. Now, obviously, I don't consent to that, but if the population unknowingly is calling kids kids, they believe that we are saying, my child is your child. Our children, our kids are children of Satan. This is for the younger generation. We had to lighten it up after that. So, animal extinction. One of the coolest things that I heard in a session very long time ago, maybe 5 years ago, was that, well, I misinterpreted. What I thought I was being told was that at some point, the animals that have been extinct will come back. And I was really excited because I'm an animal person, and I was like, sweet, all these animals are gonna come back, and at some point they're gonna resurface and we're gonna have them again. Well, a lot of years went by, and what I realized, I misinterpreted the message, and what they were trying to tell me is that at some point, we will reach a density of consciousness where an activation and an ascension occurs, and we will be able to exist in a higher dimensional frequency, and we will be able to meet those animals that were once here that went extinct, and we will be reunited once again. So we will see a lot of the species that were that have gone extinct or are on the just this close to becoming extinct. So why are animals leaving us? Is it because of poaching? Is it because of 3D interference? Is it because of a million other reasons? Yeah, those are all true. But really what's happening is they're like, I cannot hold a space for this dimension anymore. I cannot do this anymore. It is hurting our oversoul, our group, our network too much. So they go back to the fifth dimension. They leave the third dimension, but they don't actually go extinct. They just go extinct in the dimension that we are currently in. That's why animals are leaving that are wildlife, or that they are on the endangered species list, because they're just not going to be here for us anymore. They're like, we are done with this dimension. So they're holding space in the fifth dimension for us to gravitate up towards them, because they know that many of us are meeting us there at some point. So what's actually happening is they're not going to come back. We are going to join them in a higher dimensional field once again. There's more to it, but I don't have that much time, I'm sure. So everything I've talked about tonight is the majority, but there is always an exception to everything. So animal abuse does occur. Animals do get fragmented and they do get hurt while they're here. It's inevitable, it does happen. We can't say that 100% of the animals cross over and they don't retain any of the trauma. It just is too naive to believe that that's possible, although I'm sure everyone in this room would love to hear that. But the cool thing about animals, and what I learned, is that they actually are so easy at dissociating. So if they are enduring trauma, like say they were being abused physically or emotionally or being neglected, they can actually dissociate. And they will leave the body and they will separate their soul from the trauma so that they don't experience it. Just like we did. We can. When we're a lot of us don't remember our traumas when we were children because we dissociated. We disconnected. So we forgot, because it's not in our it's not in the surface of our consciousness anymore. It's in the subconscious. But it still happened. We were still abused, and that's why so many beautiful people in here do QHHT and we do regressions, and then we're like, oh, there's that memory that I locked away because your soul detached. You didn't want to experience that trauma. Animals don't want to experience the trauma, but sometimes it can't be helped. Sometimes they are in someone's life, in a narcissist's life. It's not for me to judge, to say, oh, they don't deserve that animal. I'm not God. I don't get to choose. I don't want any animal to suffer ever, not even once, not for a second. But it happens sometimes, and sometimes it's necessary, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be abused by this person in the hopes that they will learn something, like maybe I can teach them love. I can open up their heart. That's their choice. That's the choice of the soul. That's not anyone else's choice. They have that free will. Now they come down just like us. We're like, I'm gonna take on sexual abuse, and I'm gonna do all of these things. I'm gonna check all the boxes because I can do it. And then we come down here and we're like, what the fuck did I sign up for? Because we forget, right? So animals can do the same thing. They can come in and we're like, whoa, I don't think I can do this. Well, they have a really cool superpower that we also have, but we don't know we can do it a lot of the time, where they'll just pop out of the body. So the physical body of the animal, yes, is experiencing the physical abuse, but the soul isn't experiencing the abuse. Now, I'm not giving excuses for any abuse of animals. I think it's absolutely horrific, but they do have that ability, and sometimes they do sign on to experience that. Now, those that do not sign on to experience that, and they are taken into fighting rings and all sorts of really dark stuff, or they are food in some countries, and they're never given any love or support. There are animals that come back again, and there are beautiful souls that might be in this audience who your soul mission, a big part of it, is maybe not to have children, or maybe to have children, but also to take in a soul of an animal that has had really horrible lives, maybe more than one, and you are the beautiful angelic source that's going to help them heal in this life by giving them the best possible life they could ever have, and because they only need to come in a lot of times and do it once. So sometimes it can take us lifetimes to work through our healing. They can come in with one beautiful life with you guys and cross over and be like, oh, I'm healed. So they will come to beautiful souls that say, I'm going to take on this fragmented soul as my cat or my dog, and I'm going to help them heal. And those are the ones that generally are really challenging. They are really afraid of everybody. They're afraid of loud sounds. They are just, no matter what you do, nothing works. I work with them, and I'm like, there's nothing I can do that's working. But the soul just needs time. They just need time. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but this is not the dog you can take to the dog park. I'm sorry, this dog isn't one that can be walked. So you have to adapt, and you have to figure out what is comfortable for them and what isn't, because you signed up for it. You just didn't realize it. You forgot. And you're helping them have the most magical, loving, sacred experience to heal them from the traumas that they have endured in other lifetimes that maybe they didn't sign up for. Maybe it was 3D interference. Maybe it was something really horrible. And you're helping them. So everybody in here that has an animal or had an animal likely has participated to some degree, but you know those souls that are doing that full time because they always adopt the ones in the shelters that no one else wants. They will get the 3-legged dog, the one that's 12 years old and maybe has a few months to live. They're always taken into strays. They just feel like they can't do enough because for whatever reason they are attracting, well, not for whatever reason, for the specific reason, actually, that they are helping as many souls as possible or as few, depending on what they can take on. So think about it that way as well, because there's always an exception. All right, animal communication. I think I'm almost done. Quickly, the steps to communicate with your animals. The biggest misconception, and the reason why I put Dr. Doolittle picture up here, is because most people think that the way that you talk to animals is face-to-face interaction, like in the movie, where you have a dialogue. You say, how are you doing, and what's going on, and they talk back to you. That is not how it works, although it can, if you have a really experienced person and a really easy dog to connect with, but that's really not the case. So that's mistake number one most people make. They sit in the room with their dog and they're trying to talk to them. It's really hard to do. I don't actually do that. And I think most animal communicators don't do that. So when I teach people to communicate with their animal, I let them know, number one, they communicate telepathically a majority of the time, whether it's visions, downloads, conversation that's through your own thoughts or pictures. They don't sit and have a face-to-face dialogue with you, because why? The reason is because remember we talked about the primal instinct of a dog or a cat? So if you're in front of them, they can't resist trying to lick your face. Or if they're like, oh, mom wants to play, and they start wagging their tail and they want to play, and they'll go and get their toy. Well, is that helping you connect with them on an energetic level? No, because there's too many distractions. So that is the number one thing I recommend is do not try to connect with your animal while they are awake in your face. You will hit brick wall after brick wall, and you will get frustrated because you feel like you can't do it. And that's not true. You just can't do it that way. Or it makes it harder to do it that way, because some people can do it that way, but most people cannot. So my biggest recommendation, if you want to connect with your animal, is to wait until they are sleeping. Wait until they are out or very comfortable on the couch or wherever in their bed, and they're just, they're chill. Because then you don't have the distraction and they don't have the distraction with you. And then what you do is you open up your heart space and you listen to your thoughts in your head, because a lot of time they talk to you through your own thoughts. So you've been communicating with your animal likely the whole time you've had them, you just didn't realize it. Everybody's communicating. 100% of people can communicate with their animal. 100%. I don't care who you are, what your background is, what your belief system is. You are communicating. You just don't realize that you're communicating, because they are able to match our frequency regardless of where we are. If you're trying to connect with an angel or an archangel, that's challenging, because you really have to bring your vibration way up, because they cannot bring their vibration down very much to match yours. If you're communicating with a spirit guide, they can come down to a certain extent and you can go up just a little bit, but you can meet halfway. Animals are right where you are. Wherever you are, they will find you. And so you have to recognize the way that they're connecting with you is probably not the way you're thinking. It's through your mind, through your heart, and it's how you feel. And whatever you feel, when you close your eyes and you connect with your animal, you can do automatic writing. You can close your eyes and do a meditation, and you ask, what do you have to say to me? What is it that you need me to know? And then you surrender. You release expectation. You release what you think that you should hear. Let all of that go, and just wait to receive either a thought, a download, a vision, and then you just take the win. That's it. Just start with that one win, and then you start to take a record of what you are, how you're communicating, what's the best way, and you start to compound and you add to it. It's so easy to connect with animals. Most children connect with animals without effort. Why is that? Because they don't have any preconceived notions. They don't have any blocks. They don't have anybody telling them that they're doing it wrong. They just know. They're like, yeah. They know exactly what their animal is thinking, because they just do it naturally. There is no block. Now, my other recommendation is to create a safe space. The way you do this, and the way I've been teaching it forever, is close your eyes and create a safe space in your mind, wherever it is. It could be a beach with a hammock. It could be a beautiful cabin in the woods. It could be wherever. It doesn't even have to be on Earth, but it's gridded for you only. And your intention when you create the safe space is nobody is allowed in this safe space. It has triple, quadruple protection, and only I can go in here and any being that I invite. So you have to invite them in. And that is the best way to communicate with your animal, because if you tell your animal where to go and how to find you, and you bring your consciousness to that safe space, 9 times out of 10 in every class I've ever taught for the last decade, I don't think I've ever had one person not connect with their animal in their safe space, ever, in some way. So either you see them, you feel them, you sense them, and you get some sort of a message. If you do it once, you can do it again. And if you do it, keep doing it, the more you do it, the more you can connect. Animal communication is so easy. Real quick with calling on the animal kingdom, I don't want to tell the whole story because I think most of you heard it, but I was attacked really bad many years ago by a horrible witch, the bad kind, not the good kind. For months and months, I was attacked every single night. This lady was incessant, and I did everything I could to get her to leave me alone. I was sleeping with my daughter at the time, and she was just this horrific, like, screeching sound that she would just try to scare me, and I couldn't get her to leave me alone. She was mad at me because she was teaching me a class, this shamanic healing course. And once I realized that she was a bad egg, I dipped out real quick and I cut off all communication with her. I never even really told her I deleted all contact. And it really pissed this lady off. Because I think she was trying to groom me so she could siphon my energy. I think that's what it was. And when I went away from her, she was mad because her energy source was taken. So I was at my wit's end one evening, and I was being attacked in months, and I was about to cry and surrender, and I surrendered, and I said, I can't take this anymore. Nothing is working. And I gridded my room. I visualized this in a crystal ball. I mean, anything you guys can think of, I tried. The one mistake I did was when I gridded my house, I didn't think about protecting underneath. And I was sitting in the bed, my daughter's laying next to me sleeping, and I'm doing all of this stuff in my mind, and I'm gridding everything. The lady laughed at me in this horrible witchy sound, and she's like, you think I can't get in from the bottom, from underneath? And I was just like, what? And then I'm quickly trying to grid the under of the part of the house because I hadn't even thought about protecting me from underneath, right? And she's laughing at me. I'm hearing these dogs howl in my ear, these horrible, like, terrible screeching dogs growling in me with red eyes, and she's laughing at me. And I'm like, no shit, I'm like freaked out. I don't know what to do. I've tried everything in my toolbox, nothing is working. My daughter's laying next to me. I'm like, I cannot lose my shit because she's sitting here and I'm supposed to be protecting her. So as soon as I surrendered, I heard this voice in my mind say, call on the animal kingdom. And honestly, before I even heard the whole sentence in my mind, something like a light switch clicked in me, and I knew already what to do. I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that. And I said, very simply, I call upon the animal kingdom to protect me in all dimensions, time, and space. That's all I said. I didn't do a whole ceremony. And before I finished that one statement, in my mind, I didn't even say it out loud because I did not want to wake my daughter up. Within seconds, I hear elephants trumping. I hear every animal you can think of was surrounding my house. Like, I could hear them, I could sense them, I could smell them, I could see them. They were under the house, above the house, around the house. They were everywhere you could think. They were in the house, and I could hear monkeys in the trees. I was like, holy shit. And within seconds, the lady made this horrible, like screechy sound. I'm not even going to try to do it because I'll embarrass myself. And she was gone, like Gone, gone, forever. She never came back, gone, never bothered me again. And I was like, wow, that is something I had no idea I could do, or I forgot I could do. So call on the animal kingdom to protect you. I do it almost every night. I did it last night when I was in my hotel room by myself. My daughter ditched me. My husband's not here. And I was like, oh my God, Margie's here. She's going to talk about dog man. I'm like, I'm scared, right? I'm a little chicken. So I called on the animal kingdom, and I was like, I had an elephant sitting outside my front door, and I did the whole thing. I felt much safer after that. But that's how easy it is. All you got to do is call on the animal kingdom, and they will protect you because they want to and they can, and they will protect you in all dimensions. Are you trying to kick me off the stage? Okay. Has it been 2 hours? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you guys having fun? I think I'm almost done. So I teach children, all the clients, like I told you, I have a lot of children I work with all over the world, and their favorite thing is when I teach them how to protect themselves at night by calling the animal kingdom and assigning one animal to protect them while they're sleeping so that their physical body is safe, but their astral body is also safe. Adults can do it too. It's not restricted by age. Anybody can do it at any time, and they will be there. Whether you believe it or not, do it, because they will be there. Whether you have doubts or not, they will prove themselves to you. They're absolutely incredible. I think all of our animals can relate. Oh, that's it. So this is my book, Healing the Human-Animal Bond. It just came out in April. Tyler decided to steal my thunder, so his book came out a week before mine. But both of our books were #1 for like a couple of weeks, so awesome, right? That's great. So everything I talked about tonight is in the book, but obviously a lot more. And really, I want to just say that I appreciate and love the animal kingdom so much because of what they've done for me. And this book is my way of thanking not only the Chelseas of the world, not just mine, but all of yours, all the cats, all the dogs, all the wildlife, all the interdimensional species, all the things that they are doing for us that we have no idea, all the stuff that they're taking on for us that we have no idea. Everything that they do for us, this is my way of giving back and saying, you know what, thank you so much for what you taught me. Thank you so much. And if people can read this and spread the information out, I believe that no matter what the dark players have done to sever or fracture our relationship with the animal kingdom, there is never anything that is done that cannot be reversed. And it really, because we hold the power, right? No matter what, it doesn't matter what it is that we're talking about. If we wake up and see through the illusion and not buy into that, and we activate the lion that's inside of everybody. Everybody has the lion in them. And it took a lot for the lion to come out in me in a healthy way, but we all have the ability to stand up for ourselves, and the animal kingdom does that for us, and we can repair and heal the relationship and the connection that we have with the animal kingdom, and we can change the trajectory of the future of how our children look at animals, how our children appreciate animals, how our children include animals in their life and what they do, and everything in between, because it starts with them. It really does. So if we can teach them this information and how to call on them, how to respect them and love them, we can have a completely different future. And that is my way, and that's my contribution to the animal kingdom. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. And there's a couple kids back there. Actually, I'd love to hear the feedback from those kids. See what they got out of it. Yeah, I mean, does anybody have a question or two? We could take one or two, I guess. That's fine. Abby? Yeah.
I love that perspective. Yeah. So she's basically saying that when she asked her, did you say your daughter or your son said that? Her daughter about how animals help us. She was basically saying that a lot of times they'll come in as a fragmented human soul, like that a soul that has had difficult traumatic lives as a human, and to come in and as a beautiful animal companion, to feel that hands-on nurturing love that maybe they never had before. Kind of like what I said before with the animals that had been fragmented and traumatized and came back to be in a beautiful home to heal in a similar way, but that came from a beautiful mind of a child. And again, just because they're children, most of our children are way more ascended than we are, by the way. So, does anyone else have a question? I was so perfect in my presentation that there are no questions. Okay. Well, the shamans have it figured out, right? So the bison, eagles, wolves. You know, there's a reason why they are so sacred to them, because they really are good omens, and they help us tremendously more than we realize. One of the biggest effects I had at the zoo was talking to the bison, because they taught me so much about life, about soul contracts, and so many amazing things. So I also feel like it has to do individually with how the animal affects you. So a good omen can come from literally any animal if it touches you in a certain way that may not touch somebody else. So it can be very individualized. Yes? That's a great question. Animals love socks and items of clothing because it has our scent on it. So two things are happening when they want to be close to us too. It's like a pacifier for them. So a lot of times when we're not out of the house, they'll take our sock. But when you're home and they bring it to you, a lot of times that is a way of respecting you. Like they're showing you their respect. That's exactly what they're doing. They're like, I love you. Somebody asked me a question the other day, or I don't know, I'm losing my mind, but we were talking about, someone said when their animal just comes and looks at them, what are they, was it you, Lisa? Someone was saying, sometimes my dog would just come and stare at me, and I feel like, I don't know what to do. Like, are they trying to tell me something? I'm missing the message. And I'm gonna tell you, the reason why your animals sometimes just come to your face and just sit there and stare is not because they need anything, because I guarantee you if they needed something, they would tell you. Like if they're hungry, they're going to the food bowl. If they have to go to the bathroom, they're going to the back door. If they're staring at you intensely like this and they're looking at you, they're trying to let you know, I see you, I love you, I'm here for you, take a moment, take a break, you're doing too much. I just need you to just sit here and lock eyes with me for a second because I want to connect with you, and that's it. But there's so much energetically occurring that you don't realize, but I wanted to share that because it was a question I had, and I think I wanted to share that with you.
Hello? Okay, I'm going to ask a question from the live stream, if that's okay.
Sure.
And then we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up. So where's it at? What does Sherri think about the dogs and cats learning to use buttons to communicate? I see videos on it. They will tell their owners all sorts of things that they want or need with buttons and communication.
Okay, so that's a wonderful question. And so the reason is because they're trying everything they can to communicate with us because we are struggling so much to communicate with them or to perceive the messages that they are trying to relay to us. So that is their attempt to speak to us in our language. That's the simplest answer. They're like, okay, if they're not able to connect and they're not getting the messages, we're going to find a way. And I believe that the people who channeled to create those did that because they, on a soul level, knew that we needed some help, basically.
Okay, from now on, I'm going to use the mic I'm talking to the live stream. They couldn't hear the questions before, so to the live stream people, I'll have the people in the audience use the microphone to ask their questions. And I guess we'll take one more from the live stream, and then we'll take one more from the crowd, and then I think we'll call it a night. So this person wants to know, what does it mean to first see, then become a Black Panther during an ayahuasca retreat? Like becoming...
Ooh. Okay, I love this question. So the shamans were onto something, they are onto something, and they are correct. When we astral travel, a lot of times, if we're not protected, we are more vulnerable for attack. And Laura will tell you all about that tomorrow. When we merge with the spirit of an animal, which is what I will do a lot of times when I'm doing remote viewing, I will never remote view without doing this. I will merge with the spirit of a specific animal because they will take me there and I will be encapsulated within their energy to keep me protected. So if someone's doing ayahuasca, everybody knows that there are a lot of risks associated with that if you are not directed by a really well knowledgeable guide, right? You got to know what you're doing. You have to protect yourself. So if this person was merging with a black panther, for example, or any animal, maybe he didn't consciously connect with that, but that animal spirit met him because he's like, all right, you're not doing this alone. So you come with me, and it helped him, essentially.
Okay, we have one more question here.
Thank you. Oh, I don't know if you addressed this earlier because we were a little bit late coming in, but I know a number of people, and I've also had an experience of feeling like animals were messengers for loved ones that had departed. Did you talk about that? Have you addressed that? Is that something that you're familiar with? Or?
Do you mean messengers like coming in to give a message, or they are loved ones that come back reincarnated?
Well, short term, that maybe it feels like the spirit of a loved one is using an animal to communicate with us.
That was a trick question, I guess, because both are options. So yes, they can come in and be merged with the spirit of the animal to give you, so you can hug them for that period, and really and you can feel the love from the person that has passed. But they can also reincarnate as your animal, and to be your cat or dog, so that they can continue to be with you. That happens as well. Yeah.
All right, let's give it up one more time for Sherri.
Oh, Aramis, come here real quick. Come on, real quick.